Hello, I am Kevin Ryan, and I'm the host of this podcast, which is called Tyrant in Training. This is an improv comedy podcast where guests become the ruler of their own island and their own people, and they can be as good or evil as they wish to be. Today's guest is the comedian Glen Tickle, who is not only a very funny comedian, but actually happens to be one of the best Dr. Mario players in the world, which he ended up top 10 in the World Championships. So in this episode, Glen is also known as Emperor Glen of Buckaroo. Buckaroo is obviously the home of the best Dr. Mario players in the world, and it's also an island where the Emperor forces everyone to listen to his fireside chat podcast every Sunday about how sad he is that all his guests put their phones on loudspeaker in public. Here is one out of context quote, and also a bit about what happens when someone knocks on Glen's door.
Who would work at Applebee's or whatever? Like toddlers? No, they're too little to carry fajitas.
A knock on your door. Knock, knock, knock. Of your apartment, I guess. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock.
Knock, knock, knock. Hello.
Why are you
Welcome.
knocking on the door? Wait, what? No, I'm...
Yeah, welcome.
Oh, hello. Hi, I'm Paul. Sorry, I didn't... When I was knocking on the door, you said knock, 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 and I assumed you were knocking on the door as well, on the inside.
No, I was just repeating it because it's a sound that I heard. So.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Paul.
Yeah.
I'm the
Sometimes you hear a sound and you just say the sound back. Is that just me? Hi, Paul.
Don't forget you can subscribe to the Tyrant in Training podcast everywhere you find podcasts online. You can follow the podcast on social media at Tyrant Podcast on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. I'm also online. I'm on Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky at Kev Ryan Person. And there's a website which is tyrantsintraining.podcast page. So there you go. And enjoy. Okay, Glen Tickle, I'm gonna get this out of the room quickly. The whole second name, Tickle, and you're a comedian. How often does that come up?
Constantly. If I talk about it on stage a lot because I feel like if I don't, people assume it is a stage name.
Yeah.
And if it were a stage name, it's a bad one. So I'm like, if people think I did this to myself, then I shouldn't be trusted as a comedian. So I have to like prove to them that it's my real name, which I've been doing comedy for 15 years now. I would love to not do jokes about it anymore, but I have to because I'm not famous yet. So people still don't know. Like when I start the show, usually that's when people are meeting me for the first time.
Did you ever think to like just lean into it and go, yeah, this is my brand. My real name is actually Murphy. Yeah, no, like really, really go for it and see.
I don't know how common it is in comedy in Ireland for people to use stage names, but it comes like it'll be popular here for a minute, and then kind of die off. And I don't like it because every time it gets like people start doing it again, it's like, no, come on, stop. It's gonna make it harder for me, a comedian with a dumb name. Yeah. But I also know comedians who've used stage names that are just a different regular name because they work in education or something and they're worried about like their principal finding out that they're doing comedy on the side. So there's a guy, I don't remember if his real name was Mike or his fake name was Dave, which one it was, but like I knew this dude for like a decade, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna start using my real name. But they were both just pretty boring white guy names. It's like,
oh yeah, they didn't go with anything a bit zany.
Yeah, there's a lot that'll be like, oh, I'm like Johnny Chuckles the comedian, and it's just tell people your name, man. I hate it.
Johnny
Chuckles
makes
me uncomfortable.
Johnny Chuckles sounds like he should be on a stage in Britain smoking a lot of cigarettes, kind of complaining about the good old days. You know, something where you're like
in 1989, and it's never been the same for Johnny.
Where you have to say like, no, Johnny was progressive back then.
Yeah. Like, at the time.
He was very progressive. Now, not
very
so much, but
good views.
Yeah, give the man credit.
Anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so if you are a tyrant of your own country or just a ruler of your own country, are you sticking with Glen Tickle, which is a fine name? I don't have any issue besides the ha comedian.
Ooh.
But it doesn't instill fear, and I don't know if you want to go that route.
Right. That would be hard to maintain. I think I would keep it, but I would have to give myself a title.
Oh God, yeah. You're not going to just have people call you Glen or
no.
Mr. Nobody says
which
Tickles,
is like my. They what?
Nobody says Tickles. Like nobody adds an
No,
S onto it.
I have a lot of siblings, and they were like cooler in school than me, and like played sports. So a lot of their sports friends would just call them by their last name, or they would shorten it to Tick. I never
Tick
got
ain't
that
bad.
because I never really played sports.
Yeah.
Everybody just called me Glenn my whole life.
Yeah.
But now that my kids, like, I'm meeting their friends, and they're like, "Oh, do I call you Mr. Tick?" I'm like, "You can just call me Glenn. It's totally fine." Other
Mis-
6-year-old, you don't have to worry about it.
the more I think
Because
about it, Mr. Tickle sounds like a horror villain, like a horror character.
yeah,
Like if you just saw Tickle as a movie name, you'd go, "That's definitely a horror."
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked as a substitute teacher for years too, so I would regularly have to introduce myself to a different group of little kids as Mr. Tickle,
Mm.
and it never got easier. I did that job for years, but like every morning, the only thing that got easier about it was like I usually just worked in the one school district, so after a while, all the kids knew me and were just like over it. But every year there's a new batch of kids coming in, and they
We're like,
haven't
"Watch out, Mr. Tickle
run
is
through the
coming to
jokes
our
yet.
school this year."
Yeah, I found out there was a kid once who didn't think I was real. He thought, like, his friends were talking about how they had this substitute named Mr. Tickle,
Yeah.
and they're like, "That's not. There's no way that doesn't exist." And I'm like, I was like a cryptid basically. Like I'm
Yeah.
Bigfoot to this child. And then he walked into class one day, and I'm just sitting there at the front. My name's up on the board, and he
Big
goes,
angry
"No
face
way,
on
you're
you.
real?" And I'm like,
Is
"I
that
am
when
in
you're
fact
like,
real."
"Sit down"? You're really angry at him. He's like, "Oh my God."
I think I was more confused. I was like, "What? Yeah, of course. No one's ever questioned whether I existed to my face or not." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm a real
The
guy."
the the audacity of that child. Just pick him up by the neck.
Yeah, it was more. It was more. He's like, "You." I'm like, I've never thought about it, but yeah, I guess I'm real.
Yeah,
Plus, I
that's a
didn't
really
really. I wasn't that interested in pursuing it as a full time job,
yeah.
so I wasn't that interested. Which there's a website in the U.S. where people can rate their teachers,
Oh yeah.
and there's like an offshoot one for substitutes. And I checked. I didn't know about it until years after I was done
Yeah.
with that job. But I had two ratings. One was 5 stars, and one was 1 star. But they both basically said the same thing. They're like, he doesn't care. He clearly doesn't want to be here. He's just sitting at the desk, uh, writing jokes, and it was like they were just different versions of the same thing. But one student was like incensed that I wouldn't take substitute teaching more seriously, and the other kid was like, "This is awesome. This guy barely cares." Like I wouldn't let kids burn the building down,
No,
but
but as long as you know you're getting a paycheck at the end of the week and the school will
yeah,
be there, you're fine. Yeah, that's all you
right.
need.
I'm meeting the bare minimum. But other teachers would tell me all the time that I was very good at substitute teaching. So apparently, most subs do not meet the bare minimum. I'm
Are
like,
you
oh, if I didn't realize I could set this bar even lower than I already have it.
are you worried that the 5 out of 5 rating was actually from a teacher then?
No, because I think they both mentioned that they had me as a sub. Uh, but no, like the people in the principal's office or whoever who like arranged for subs and stuff, all regarded me well in my profession.
That'll do.
It's like,
That
it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to just show up, check the notes that the teacher left, and then just make sure you have the same number of children at the end of class
I th
as you do at the beginning.
I think I'd end up if I was a substitute teacher. I'd only end up like going in, going, "All right, lads, I'm here for whatever a couple of weeks. Work with me here. How can we do the least we can without looking
Yeah.
like we're doing
Well,
nothing?"
it's weird because it goes. A lot of the other subs didn't like going to the preschool.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't want to like change diapers or whatever. But there were teachers' aides in the room that would handle all of that stuff.
You don't do that.
So you're
Yeah.
basically just entertaining 4-year-olds for a
Yeah.
couple hours. I was like, that's
Easy.
I'm one of 5 kids. My mom ran a daycare center. I was like, I love little kids. Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would go there all the time. I would also get sent. There was it was called the alternative high school where they would send the students who were about to get expelled to give them like one last chance to get
Right.
back in the district's good graces. And other subs wouldn't want to go there because, like, oh, I hear there's fights all the time. They would send me because I'm 6 feet tall. And they're like, yeah, whatever, just go be a tall man in a building.
Yeah.
But the students who show up there are the ones trying to get back to the regular school.
They're giving it a go.
Yeah. The type that would really be a problem. Like once they get sent there, they're like, oh no, I'll just also stop coming to this. And they're all working on their own things, so you're not running through lessons. Occasionally, somebody would ask you for help. That was the easiest.
Yeah. Do you, if you have your own country which you'll set up, do you want it to be like a pre-country then with a load of preschoolers? We can have whatever type of citizens you want.
Oh, I think just from a practical standpoint, that would be a nightmare.
Okay. Yeah. No, you don't have to change diapers for all of them. It's you can have help.
Well, it's just who would work at Applebee's or whatever. Like toddlers, no, they're too little to carry fajitas. They'll burn their little. That's
that's true. I just because you seem to say it was pretty handy for the preschool work. So okay, we'll do regular citizens are living in your country.
Yeah,
right?
I think we keep the age distribution basically the same.
Okay, and we'll keep it male female about 50% each, whatever they're all the same.
Yeah, I don't think we need to mess with the statistics too much.
Okay.
I think like your question is like basically if I was put in charge of America where I live now, how would I operate? Quite differently than has been historic, I guess. But if it is a fictional country we're building from the ground up, Sim City style, that might affect some of my answers.
Well, yeah, because what I do is we set up a fictional country. So we just make up an island somewhere in the world and we put you there and you can decide everything. Because you know what? A lot of people come onto the show and they're from America. When I say, do you want to take over America? They say, no, we're doing fine. The country's doing great. So, yeah, I don't know about I get there's no material out of it. So I don't put people through it anymore. So, are you good at geography?
No.
Fantastic.
As is my country's way. I mean, I think I'm better than average, but I don't think.
Well, what I'll do handily enough, and I'll do it kind of even seamlessly, is if I give you a map, here we are, then you can tell me where would you put your island in the world? Because we can't put it on top of a country, unfortunately. That's not allowed anymore.
Oh, see, now I'm just trying to think of like climate wise.
Yeah. Would you be
where
warm
would
or
be nice?
Cold, or what would you be more inclined for?
I am from New Jersey here in the United States. I would put it off the coast of the Jersey Shore.
You'd want to stay close to home if you want to pop over. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going in. Is it around? It's around there, right?
Yeah. It's that little bit hanging down.
Oh, this bit hanging down.
Yeah. Yeah, not that it's a terribly accurate map, but I believe that little peninsula there.
So is New Jersey. If we put an island there and we say that 10 million citizens will arrive there and live there, which is that too many or is that okay?
I think I can handle 10 million.
10 million, yeah. You don't have to talk to them all, like you can leave some of them, but yeah, no, just it's fine. So, do you have any idea what the name of your country would be?
It can't be Tickle Land, right? Like that's both too on the nose, and I don't think anyone would want to live there.
Whoever shows up, and if you decide that's the name of your island or whatever name you want, people are showing up willingly. I'll just put that out there.
I don't know if you play a lot of video games. When the pandemic hit, around the time Animal Crossing New Horizon came out.
Yes.
And when I got that, I started an island, not realizing that basically every cartridge of that game is an island, not every player's profile.
Yes.
So I started the island and I named it after my favorite movie, and I just called it Buckaroo because my favorite movie is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Okay. So I would stick with that. I would call the island Buckaroo. Just
Buckaroo, not even Buckaroo Island, just Buckaroo.
Just Buckaroo.
Awesome. Okay. We're all going to Buckaroo. It sounds like it should be like a city in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Australia, maybe.
So if we're living on Buckaroo, what would you said you needed an official title. Do you have any idea what your official title would be?
I was trying to think of something more creative, but I just think Emperor is like
you wouldn't go
the
with
most. King. No, because I think Emperor has a little more authority behind it.
Yeah.
It might just be because of Star Wars, but like that's the top guy.
So you're going with your favorite movie as the name of your country and your favorite character as the name of you.
Well, the Emperor is not my favorite character.
The best character.
Although in Buckaroo Banzai there's Emperor Lord John Warfarin.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the movie, but I would say okay.
Most people aren't. Don't worry about
it. By the way, would you just ask, since you're the ruler of this whole thing,
sure.
Are you okay with compliments? Because I can be very sycophantic and say you're brilliant and all your ideas are fantastic.
Oh yeah, I like that now, even without my own country.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that's what. So I've watched the movie. Yeah, I remember that part. That's brilliant. So I think Emperor. I don't think you can go any level up from Emperor except God.
Right, like there's back to Star Wars. Like you can be a king of a planet or whatever in Star Wars, but you still got to answer to the Emperor.
Yeah.
There was. Oh, I'm blanking on his name. There was a guy, I think it was late 19th century in San Francisco, who declared himself Emperor of San Francisco, and that it was its own sovereign nation.
Right.
And obviously he wasn't, and it's not, but people were like, I don't know, it's kind of charming. Like they just kind of let him have it. They're like, sure, man, you're the Emperor of San Francisco, whatever. And I think if he called himself the King of San Francisco, people were like, shut up. No, you're not.
That was the 19th century, was it?
I think so.
Because to be fair to him as well, for him to get the word out that he's Emperor of San Francisco, like he doesn't have social media. Do you know what I mean? If someone posts that now,
did I say 18th by mistake? I think I might have said 18th century by mistake. I meant not in the 1800s. 19th century.
No, you said yeah.
Because 18th century, I don't think they were out there yet.
But that's what I mean. Even 1800 and even if it was 1899, he doesn't have social media or radio to get that around. Like he has to go around personally and tell people.
He was taking ads out. I think he had like some inheritance, and he was just a rich crazy man.
There's a lot worse ways to be rich and crazy.
As we've seen.
Are you Emperor Glen or Emperor Tickle? Or Emperor Glen Tickle?
I would go with Emperor Glen.
Emperor Glen.
I think. Emperor Glen the First.
Oh, so you're planning more Emperor Glens?
Well, you just want to cement it,
Okay.
you gotta imply that there's gonna be more.
You just like the Roman numeral beside it.
Yeah, I think it adds some gravitas.
Yeah.
That calling myself Emperor Tickle wouldn't. Then I sound like a Sesame Street character. Is essentially the problem.
You could go around stuck in a bin. You could pop out of.
Like I've had the name for 41 years. Like I've gotten used to it, but I also understand, that word in context, and I use it as a comedian, hopefully successfully with some effect, to get people to laugh at it in a way that it doesn't feel like they're making fun of me.
Yeah.
But if you're protesting a tyrant and that tyrant's name is Emperor Tickle, it's going to be too easy for you. Like, I don't want to make it harder on any possible detractors, or make it easier on any possible detractors to belittle me.
What happens if people are calling you the Ticklemeister or the...
I'm sure it would happen.
Tickle Billy Jim.
The thing is, people do now. Like, I have no real authority over anybody. And
I wouldn't say that on the island.
Still make fun of my name. Oh, no, on the island I do, but currently in America, and I still get a lot of jokes about my name. That was hard when I was substitute teaching, because I had to rehear like all the jokes, because it's like you could tie a child's intellectual development to the jokes that they make about my name.
Yeah.
So like if I was substituting a second grade class, I would hear all the jokes that I heard when I was in second grade from the other kids, because it's like, oh, this is just where 7-year-old brains are at.
Yeah.
They think it's funny that it rhymes with pickle. Okay. And then you get into middle school and it gets a little racier. It's like, all right, you can't, I'm your substitute teacher. You can't do those ones.
Yeah.
And I think people would. I don't think that it needs to be punishable.
You're not putting them in jail, or you're not fining them or
anything. No, I mean, I'm pretty tolerant of most crimes.
Okay, I'll just.
I think it would for sure hurt my feelings, and I think letting the public know that, I would hope that it is enough that they wouldn't do it, because they wouldn't want me to feel bad.
Okay, quick question: How empathetic are your people, honestly?
Well, I like to think that I would be a benevolent emperor.
Yeah.
And that they wouldn't want to hurt my feelings.
You sound resigned, Glenn, to this.
I think, there's no job I could ever hold, this reality or any other, where I don't have to hear jokes about my name.
Okay.
So I am resigned to that. It will happen. Also, if I'm the emperor, I do think people in positions of power get to be mocked. Like, that's part of the job.
Yeah, punch up and stuff.
But it's also, it sucks to get made fun of. Like, you're allowed to feel bad about it. But I do think the better job you do, the less people are going to want to make fun of you, you know?
Okay, yeah, we'll see about that, how the podcast goes. But yeah, they okay, for now they're absolutely okay for calling you Tickle Billy Jim and stuff like that.
I might put out like the occasional fireside chat podcast about how it makes me feel bad. and then see
how often are these coming out? Once a week?
Weekly minimum. For sure there's one every Sunday. But then just probably there's like special editions throughout the week. Because I gotta let people know how I'm feeling.
How bullying works, kids.
Yeah, like sometimes there's there's like a low Wednesday afternoon where you just gotta let your 10 million citizens know that they really gotta knock it off with all the name calling, because it's bringing you down.
You have to knock it off. Anyway, I'll see you in 3 days for another
I'll talk to you on Sunday. Maybe I'll bring the citizens on as guests
to talk about why they
with them, see how they're doing.
They think it's hilarious. But okay, we'll move on. I have the question: do you have any official attire to wear as emperor? Like, are you going with the emperor robes?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually used to wear the same thing every day. During the period of time while I was substitute teaching, I wore a suit every day. It was I bought 2 of the same suit jackets, 4 suit pants, a number of shirts and ties, and I dressed like a cartoon character for years. I would do that again, but I would have like epaulets and made up badges and stuff.
Would you? Oh, like military badges, like, I've won loads of wars, and
or like Boy Scout merit badges, probably.
Right.
Be closer to, because I would make them. They wouldn't just be for show; they would be tied to things that I've done. But all the things that I've done are ridiculous. So like, I would have one for like juggling pretty good. There would be one for being very good at Dr. Mario, like that stuff.
You'd have one of the pills, right, in it, where you have to match the red and blue.
It would be a red and blue Dr. Mario pill.
That's not bad. Yeah, no, okay, that's pretty cool. One. Would you have any sort of hat? Any? Do emperors have a crown? They must have a crown somewhere.
I think you could. I'm sure there's a crown that's for show, but I have chronic neck problems, so I don't think I don't think my head could support a crown.
I'm so sorry.
More than the length of a photo shoot.
I'm just thinking you sitting down by the fireplace on a Sunday explaining to people how you feel sad and your head is just a bit droopy because your neck is sore.
That's why. I'm keeping my head down so long because people keep making fun of my name. So I do think there's a crown that is like on display, and I'll pop it on for like special events.
You haven't. You know what's the one in England? I don't know what the name of it is, but it's like is it the coronation crown or something like that, where it's like it's priceless, right? It's worth a lot.
I know what you mean.
The jewels are, like all great treasures, robbed and belong somewhere else. So would you have anything like that? You're not robbing anyone else of their
No,
diamonds?
I mean, my daughters are pretty fond of wearing tiaras that they buy at
Oh, yeah.
a store in the U.S. called Claire's. I don't know if you have an
Claire's Accessories,
equivalent.
we have it here. Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. It's where preteen girls
Yeah.
go to buy earrings or whatever. They
Yeah.
have some tiaras from there that they're pretty fond of. So uh, I might take their advice on
You would go
what
into
would be the
Claire's and buy
fanciest. Yeah, I would let them take me to Claire's and we'd pick out something
pick out one.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
Oh,
the
yeah.
tiaras are smaller, but I think we could. You want something showy, you know. So if
Yeah.
it's maybe a tiara on the front of a top
Oh,
hat, for
yes,
example,
yes, 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 yes. Okay,
I
yeah.
think
Top
that,
hat with a tiara from
and it'd be
Claire's.
nice to have a brim,
A brim.
keep the
Oh,
sun out of my
yeah,
eyes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, it would be sunny there, right? It's warm in New Jersey.
sometimes.
Yeah. It's not all year
Yeah,
round, but okay.
yeah, we have a pretty temperate climate, and the seasons vary pretty wildly.
Do you in your country, and there's 10 million citizens, and whatever you pick now, they are happy with, okay? But do you want, how do I phrase this? Do you know when you're running the country, you have the ultimate say, you have absolute power. But for the everyday boring admin stuff, you have a staff, right? You have people to do all
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't. I
Would
would
you?
be
No, you don't have the time.
incapable of
No,
admin
you
work.
have your fireside chats to do. You don't have time for it, right?
Yeah,
But
that would be the biggest criticism of my administration is I'm spending too much time
way
podcasting.
too much. But do you, when you have your people to look after the government, then are you just picking like 10 people to act as your inner council, or are you going to allow voting? So the citizens can vote for 100 senators, and they'll do all that, but you'll have ultimate say. Basically, are you allowing voting or not on your island?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what if they vote for, you know, that kid who didn't believe you were real?
Oh, he's the Secretary of Defense.
Nice, good for him.
He gets a position for sure.
Yeah,
because he's not afraid to question authority, and I like
yeah, he was thinking. Yeah.
Because if another child tells you that there's a mythical creature named Mr. Tickle who wears the same suit every day and taught you math, you might be right to question. He was wrong in this specific instance, but the impulse would be like, there's no way that's a real guy. That's respectable.
So, like if someone said to him, there's nukes off on the beaches of Cuba aimed at us, he's not going, oh my God, let's launch another Bay of Pigs. He's saying, let's investigate.
Yeah, he's like, we'll look into it. We need to gather more evidence.
Yeah.
I do think I'm trying to think of the best system of government in fiction that I think would work well. Because, ours isn't great.
Yeah.
The Galactic Senate famously failed when they elected to have an emperor.
The empire didn't fail politically. It was running smooth politically, in a way.
Yeah, but the Galactic Senate were the ones who were like, oh yeah, no, Palpatine can be in charge of everything. That'll be fine. That won't end in planetary destruction or nothing. So that's the failure there.
But then afterwards, so if you're Palpatine in this scenario, he was running it politically fine. I think he was getting reelected again before he died. But
I don't know about. I mean, as long as they're not running the election on Alderaan, I do. It's got to be based in democracy. I would actually honestly be fine giving myself term limits, because one thing that I like about my job as a stand-up comedian now is basically the total lack of responsibility.
Yes.
Whereas I used to work as a writer, and when I started that job, I was just like the lowest guy on staff.
Yeah.
But then through mismanagement, pretty quickly, I was in charge of the site and the other writers, and I hated that part of it. It's like, I just want to write dumb articles. I don't want to like be your boss.
Yeah.
So I think to get Buckaroo off the ground, I'll be in charge, but I don't want to do it forever, Seems exhausting.
How long do you plan on doing it? Because I mean, I just assume you want to do it forever. But how long are you planning a long stay, or like, oh, I'm here for a year and I'm out?
I don't think a year is enough to realistically get the island where it needs to be to compete on a global scale. But I do think its chances of doing that are better with someone other than me in charge.
Okay.
So, because I think part of it is I don't know that I would be a great dictator.
Yeah, but we're not telling the citizens that, right?
That I'm a dictator, or that
no,
I don't
that you're not. You don't think you'll be a good dictator or a great one?
No, I mean, it would be fun at first. So I think I would genuinely enjoy it.
Yeah.
And would be giving it my all. But historically, with any job, after you do it for a while, the novelty wears off, and then it just kind of becomes drudgery. That's when I think my interest would start to slip. So I think initially, as long as the dopamine hit of I'm in charge, we're building a fun little island.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to bring it back to Animal Crossing, once I got that island to 5 stars, I could not have cared less. That was the last time I played that game, because where do you go from there?
Yeah.
So that took probably about 2 years, but that's a video game, and I didn't have anything else to do because of the pandemic. So, I mean, we have 4-year term limits before one possible re-election for presidents here in the U.S., and that historically doesn't always go good. I think I just got to leave it up to the people. I want them to decide when it's time for me to go.
Oh, okay. But what if they decide tomorrow you're out the door?
Then it was a good run.
Okay. Yeah. Until that happens, okay, we'll have something fun where we'll say, since we're setting up the island, what type of house do you want to live in? Do you want to indulge in a big, huge mansion, or a big castle or palace, or we can build you anything?
Oh, do you know the television show I, Claudius?
No, but you're very handsome. I'll look it up now.
It was a PBS show. It was a mini series about ancient Rome or Greece. Honestly, I don't know the difference. I mean, I know they're different, but I don't know which one's which. And
is it from the 70s?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But another comedian here in the United States, John Hodgman, is obsessed with it. And one thing he points out is that the Claudius and I think her name is Livia, Claudius's spouse, have like separate little like bungalows that are separated by like a reflecting pool. And I love my wife very much, but if we had separate places to go with a reflecting pool in the middle, and then my kids were on her side of it, I think that would be ideal.
So you're saying that the woman you love, your relationship with her would improve if you had a reflecting pool in between you at all times?
Not at all times, but just if it was like the house next door to me is going up for sale right now. And in an ideal world, I just buy it and move in. And then,
yeah.
And then my wife and kids are still next door. We just kind of go back and forth, but having just like a separate nearby building.
Okay. She'd go for that as well, right?
I think she would be more into it than me at this point, honestly.
Oh, nice.
So I think, plus like just the style of it, I like having big columns and stuff around would be pretty neat.
Oh, so you want kind of like a Roman villa? I guess they must have had a villa.
Or honestly, just like a little apartment. It's the thing that I want more than anything is like an office again. I had a home office.
Yeah.
Then my second child was born, and that became her room. And now I'm just like doing this at my dining room table because I have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm mostly just.
Well, we'll make sure you have an office. Don't worry. You for someone who has ultimate power on their island. You're like, if you don't mind, I'll just do.
Yeah, I was like, if I could just have like a studio apartment,
absolutely,
myself, it would be. That's what 40-year-old dads dream of, is just like their own studio apartment where there's not a a yard to mow, or they just don't have to do anything. If something breaks, they just call a guy and he comes and fixes it.
We can have
I'm
a
trying to
perfect
think.
little place for you and your wife, 2 houses with a reflecting pool in the
Yeah.
middle. And then in the capital city, we'll have an apartment for you. If you want to go there, you can decide which one.
Yeah. Well, the capital, I would imitate the Hungarian Parliament building, because it's beautiful.
I have to see. Is this something that's really over the top?
It's there's so many spires on that bad boy. It is a sight to behold.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. By the water as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right on the Danube.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, that's very nice, actually.
I would just take that one, just like for pure architecture.
So wait, you want an apartment, but it to be the size and look of that?
No, but maybe like one room in there could just be for me. I think that yes. Would be. Well, I mean, we're talking about work and home. Like that would be the office building. That's where the podcast happens.
That's where
the rest of the time.
Yeah.
The rest of the time.
That's what they call it, the podcast building.
My studio apartment.
Okay. God, the priorities are all over the place. Okay.
Yeah.
So on Buckaroo,
right. For myself, I want a modest 1-room apartment. But for the government, I want what is arguably the most beautiful building ever constructed by humanity.
And you just want one room in there where you can do your podcast in a fireplace.
For sure. Just one soundproof room that I can interview my constituents.
Okay. And just quick question. So when you have your nice little house, would your wife have the same house, or do you think she'd go with a big palace?
No, she would want basically farmland.
She just wants a farm.
She has a pretty robust garden, and we have chickens that live in our suburban New Jersey backyard for some reason. So I'm sure she would like if we had, a couple acres where she can spread out.
She can spread out chickens.
Yeah, just I mean like occupy more of it, because our yard is fairly small, and she's making the most of it.
Yes. Okay. No, we'll get right on that. Do you know, on the island of Buckaroo, or the country of Buckaroo, what kind of mundane or everyday item are we banning from this country? Do you have any pet peeves you're like, no, we don't want that here?
You're not allowed to talk on speakerphone in public.
Only in private.
That's for at home.
What happens if someone does? If someone goes, hey, Jim, old Tickly boy is doing another podcast. I can't wait to hear it. He's an idiot. Or something. I don't know. That's just mean, but
I think you just get your phone taken away.
So you lose access to phones.
The phone that you are doing it on.
Yes.
Gets confiscated.
Oh.
And then that's your punishment. You got to go find another one.
You have to go buy another one.
There's not a fine. You don't get it back. It just goes back to Verizon or whatever you got it from.
But what happened, is that not saying that if you're rich, you can talk loudly all you want in public, but if you're poor, because obviously if you're poor, you can't afford a phone, but if you're rich, I get a phone every day. Point. Yeah. I
forget where I saw it, but there was like a sign and said like, fine for fishing in this river is $50. So somebody's like, so it costs $50 to fish in this river.
Yeah.
So that is a good point. See, this is why I question my ability as a ruler, because I would be like, just get taken away. Or maybe it is like, if my kid brings her phone to school and pulls it out, the teacher's going to take it, and then I have to go to the school and say, hey, I know my kid shouldn't be using her phone in class, but give it back. And then they relinquish it to me. So maybe you get your phone taken away, and then you have to come to my office at the Parliament building. And then
personally go there. You can't just get one of
you
your...
gotta be like, you have to show up and face me and be like, hey, I know it really bugs you when people talk on speakerphone in public, and then I give them like a stern no, and then I'll give it back, but I'll try to make you feel guilty.
Oh my God, is that how you get guests for your podcasts? They're like, oh God, I have to do this podcast now.
Well, yeah. That's your punishment. You have to sit down with the Emperor for an hour.
Sit down and
be like, what's so important? What's so important that you couldn't do this at home?
You know, I have a feeling about my second name, and now
need both sides of this conversation. Who do you think you are?
It's just another thing to make me feel bad. I'm only here for a few years. Oh, God.
Right. I could be gone at any minute. I am one vote of no confidence away from retirement.
It's like I'm an old man and I could be gone any day now. This could be our last Christmas together.
I do feel like after a while I would start trying to get by for sure. Like if I think the island's going good and then I'm bored of being the emperor, I would start enacting insane policies to try to get them to be like, Tickle's got to go. We got to get
really. What if they're just like, no, he's doing great. You know,
that would be the problem. I don't want to do too well. Like, okay, no, we all love him.
If
he's doing too good of a job.
So there's nothing else apart from the speakerphone ban.
That's the one that comes to mind. Only because I had to experience it fairly recently.
Is there any unusual list in the world that your country would be top of? So I presume it has like the best education and best healthcare and best manners.
We would be the best in the world at Dr. Mario. Because I live there.
What? You live in Buckaroo, not Dr. Mario. That I live in Dr. Mario. But yeah.
I'm very good at Dr. Mario. So there's a guy who lives in St. Louis, Missouri. Sinkfield, I forget his first name. He's basically a rich guy who loves chess. And years ago decided he's going to make St. Louis, Missouri the chess capital of the world. And he's kind of pulling it off. I don't know if you follow competitive. You throw a bunch of money at it to get really good chess players to come play at the St. Louis Chess Club. You host a prestigious tournament there. He's kind of like pulling it off. Yeah. And I also not good at, but I like following competitive chess. But I don't think I'm good enough at it to justify trying to take the title of chess capital of the world.
Yeah.
But Dr. Mario capital of the world.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's like 5 people who can beat me, and I know them all. Like
you've met them all, have you?
Yeah, because there's tournaments that I go to.
Really?
I know when I see a couple people show up, then I get worried about my position in the tournament. No, I've gotten in the top 10 of the world championship, but that's the closest.
Well done.
Thank you. Very good stacking pills.
So what is the that could be a scandal. What is the when's the last time Dr. Mario was out? I presume it's on the Wii U or
there was Dr. Luigi on the Wii U.
Right.
And it is on the Nintendo Switch on the virtual console.
Right.
But there's not been a Switch version of Dr. Mario. But there was the original NES, the Game Boy, N64, then Dr. Luigi on the Wii U. There was Dr. Mario Online RX on the original Wii. That was the first one where you could play people online.
Oh, cool. Okay, so you're going to do Dr. Mario Capital of the World. You're
Yeah.
But I mean, other people are good on the island, right? Like some of the best players.
I would encourage the other people who are very good at Dr. Mario to defect from their native countries.
Tax breaks. They'll be treated like kings. Okay. Yeah. Is that the national sport?
Juggling.
Competitive juggling. That surely will be in the Olympics soon.
Yeah. I'm going to say competitive juggling.
Okay. Yes. And then hobby and gaming wise, Dr. Mario is on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because there's more of a physical component to juggling.
Yeah.
That Dr. Mario doesn't quite have.
It's not quite the same level. I have a bit of a tough question to ask since you're the ruler of the country. What there's some bad news to give to you. So your approval rating, because the country's been set up so well, is 97%, right?
Okay.
Now a scandal comes out involving the Emperor Glen, and the approval rating goes down to 84%. Okay. So it's not great. It's not catastrophic, but
yeah, that seems like a pretty small scandal.
That's it. It's a light entertainment podcast. So the way I ask people is that you get to decide what the scandal is. Okay. So your advisors would say to you, maybe you should go on to the best news channel in the country and talk to Anderson, the best reporter in the country, to explain, have a sit down with him, right?
Sure.
Would you do that? Would you face a tough interview to explain?
I guess it would depend on what the scandal is. Where if it is something that I'm genuinely ashamed of, I don't think I would want to talk about it because it would
Right.
make me feel bad.
Yes.
But if it was
Yes.
something, because you know how sometimes you do something and then you find out that other people don't like it, and you're like, oh well, I mean, I feel bad, but I'm not gonna stop doing this. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
good example.
This podcast, to be honest, is the one I have.
Yeah, or like sometimes as a comedian, like I'll do a joke about someone in my life, and they'll be like, "Well, I don't like that you're doing a joke about me," but to me, it is like a completely fair joke.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's not mean spirited, or it's not.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
well, the joke's not really about you. Like you're mentioned
Yeah.
in it, sure, but it's
Yeah.
not. The joke isn't like,
It is.
my wife, right? It's
Yeah.
just
It's
like,
not
no, this is just,
targeted. Yeah.
yeah. I'll use her as an example because she's never complained about any jokes that I've done.
Mm,
So this is purely hypothetical. But like, let's say I do a joke about my wife, and
mm.
she's like, "Hey, I have one right now because we had a small earthquake
Yeah.
in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and I missed it. I was driving and didn't notice,
You were jumping at
and
the perfect time.
yeah, I was already midair, so I had
Yeah.
no idea. But she just sent me the text that said everyone's okay,
Okay.
but not anything about the earthquake or why they wouldn't be.
Yes.
And so I have a joke about that. And if she's like, "Hey, I don't like that you're making fun of me," I was like, "Well, that was a weird text. I don't know what to tell you. Like that's."
Yeah.
So if it was something like that, if the citizens were like, "Hey, we don't like that you're making fun of your wife for sending you a weird text after an earthquake," I'd be like, "Well, I don't know. You guys are wrong. Uh, I'll go on the news and talk about it." But if it was something like that I genuinely felt bad about, I would be like,
We
"Nah, you
can.
guys, I don't want
No,
to talk about it. You
we
guys
can
are
deal with like bad joke gate is what the press are calling it, right?
sure."
They'll say that. By the way, when you said about the text, when I was it last year, or 2 years ago? Doesn't matter. Recently, me and my fiance went over to Spain for our friend. Two of our friends were getting married, right? And they got married, and we were staying at a villa. There was about 10 of us staying at a villa, and we were having the ceremony there and everything else. So it was lovely, right? South of
Mhm.
Spain, really, really,
Here
really
it's
hot
very nice.
weather, very nice. And during the day, it got to about six or no, it got to the evening, around 8 or 9 o'clock, and I said to my fiance, I was like, I'm going up. Either I was changing or I was putting my phone on charge or whatever, but I said I'm going to go upstairs to our room. I'm just going to like lie down for an hour. So I'm tired now. I've been here for the last few days, drinking and partying. I'll be down in an hour.
Sure.
I'm not bad, whatever. So I went upstairs and I was lying down. I was looking at my phone, right, just to get away from people, and I was fine. But then I got a text in my phone, and the person who got married, his name is Brendan, right? So I'm looking at my phone, I'm kind of drowsy, or whatever, and I get a text, and it's from my fiance just saying, uh, "Don't worry, Brendan's okay." And I thought, what the hell is after happening? Because there's a pool there, and we're all drinking.
Yeah.
Like what? And even out, it's an infinity pool, so if you go over the other side of it, there's just a sheer drop. Like,
Oh, it's just like the glass wall.
yeah, and then it's
Those are
just a drop
terrifying.
down a hillside, right?
Yeah, not for me.
So I was like, "What's okay?" And I, of course, jumped up and I was like, I better go down and see what's
Yeah.
happening. And as soon as I opened the door, I could hear Brendan. Like he has a band with him and a few friends. They have a band. I'll get around, but it's like rock music. But he is belting out some AC/DC song because he's the singer.
Did
So
she
I
just mean he was okay
and
at
it's like
AC/DC
Brendan's
cover?
okay, as in I think it was either AC/DC because we had never heard him live. So I think she was
Yeah,
just saying he's actually pretty good. I think that's just,
that's
an Irish
tremendous.
thing of not going overly
Right. You don't want to be too
complimentary,
complimentary.
but just being like, he's okay, he's not bad. And then I was like, or no, I was like, I opened the door and I didn't realize, like, when I went upstairs, he wasn't singing or anything. And I'd have no
Right.
reason to think,
Right.
like,
You
there
didn't know
was,
the set started.
yeah. And I was like, there's a band there. I'd have no reason to think that Brendan's going to take over the band and sing away, even though, yeah, afterwards it makes sense. But like, I just opened the door and I heard him roaring out, thunderstruck or something. And I was like, okay, I don't really know. Has something happened?
Yeah.
It was like a run walk down to ask, is he okay? But for bad joke gate, when you sit down with Henderson and he says, look, there's a lot of people unhappy. They have a lot of people in your country, Emperor Glen. Thank you, by the way, for coming along to the interview, right?
Great to be here.
Nice. The thing is, a lot of people aren't happy because a lot of them have done at least a dozen comedy classes, and they don't think that joke fits in with what they've learned in these classes, and they've spent thousands on them to be the best comedians in the world. So why did you tell that joke? What? It's not a joke, right? You're going to confirm that.
Well,
people are upset.
I would say that it's very much, and comedy is subjective, and whether people agree that I think it's weird that my wife would simply text me, everyone is okay without content. I think, I just heard a story from a young man the other day about how when he was on a wedding trip to Spain, his fiance sent him a very similar text message. I think this is a very relatable situation that a lot of people have or will someday find themselves in, because people are not giving enough context when they are sending out these potentially life-changing text messages.
Hey, you can bring up the most masculine and funniest friends you have with their stories about Spain, but it still doesn't change the fact that people are upset that joke goes against every class that they learned in their comedy course.
I would be interested to hear what classes these people have taken, because while I don't often make fun of my wife in my act, comedy for a while in the 80s and 90s was just dudes in their 40s complaining about women,
And that is the key building block. The fact that you do not have a 1 hour set of the old ball and chain. I don't think you've once called her the ball and chain. That's an accusation that's been thrown at you.
And she's neither a ball nor a chain,
and
let alone both together. Preposterous.
And if you're not going to call her that, then really are you the funniest man here? Which is apparently the only reason why you're the emperor of this country.
Oh, is that how I got the gig?
I think that's how you got it. Yeah.
Well, I've never claimed to be the funniest person on Buckaroo. I've claimed several times in this past hour alone to be the best Dr. Mario player, and I stand by that.
So you're going to challenge people who can fucking dethrone you through Dr. Mario.
If you can beat me,
okay,
in Dr. Mario. So look, unless Christopher Bidwell has defected to join Buckaroo, I don't think these constituents have. That's another very good Dr. Mario player.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think my normal constituents have a chance.
Sorry, Christopher Bidwell.
Bidwell, yeah.
Oh, good name.
He helps organize the tournament. He's nice. He's very good at Dr. Mario.
He's a man in the shadows, really controlling everything.
Yeah.
He's like Tyrion in Game of Thrones. He's
pulling the strings.
Or Tywin. He's Tywin, isn't he?
Sure. Charles Dance, I don't know enough about Game of Thrones too.
Like Charles Dance. Okay, so you're saying you're staying in charge and you're not apologizing for that non-joke that people are saying is a non-joke, and you're saying anyone wants to come for the king, you better not miss at Dr. Mario.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I mean, I'm saying as like advisor, that's good.
I'm standing by my statement and my ability to stack bills.
Yeah. No, that's good. And you challenged everyone, and I'm sure nobody will try and take you.
They'd be fools too.
With this whole people unhappy, your news station, they obviously are all in on Emperor Glen, right? They're all about you. Do you want any propaganda documentary done about you? Any fantastical fact we can make up? We can make it up or it can be true, and just tell people this is what Emperor Glen is really like. Because right now, the only time they see you is when you're complaining every week saying you're all mean to me.
Right. They all tune into the podcast
to
hear me talk about how they hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I do think I would probably use my power as Emperor to inflate how good I am at Dr. Mario. I think after a while, people would be afraid to like actually play me, and they would be throwing matches to not offend the Emperor's ego.
Why are they throwing matches at you? What?
I think I would realize that's what's going on, and I would just let it happen. Like they would throw the game. They would not be playing to the best of their ability.
I thought you meant lit matches, like
No.
lit matches on fire. I thought they were throwing matches at you.
Like a match, like
Okay,
three
sorry.
games of
I'm
Dr.
with you.
Mario.
Genuinely,
Yeah,
I thought you
they're
meant.
not hurling fire at me.
They're
That's
so
how
afraid.
they finally get me to resign. No,
Okay.
but like they're playing bad on purpose so that I win. I think for like a week that I just feel like I'm the best.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I realize what's going on. But then I don't say anything and I just let it keep happening.
Yeah, yeah. So you have everyone throwing games for you, and then when it's live and televised, they think you are unbelievably good. So nobody's going to come take your crown, your tiara from Claire's.
Yeah, and I think I know what they're doing, but I don't stop
Go
them.
along with it. Yeah.
Because it feels good to win.
Absolutely, yeah. So you insist on not losing, but not you don't verbally say don't let me lose, but you're okay with it.
Yeah.
When it I do have a knock on your door, knock of your apartment, I guess. Knock.
Hello.
Why are you
Welcome.
knocking on the door? Wait, what? No, I'm.
Yeah. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Hi. I'm Paul. Sorry, I did. When I was knocking on the door, you said knock, and I assumed you were knocking on the door as well on the inside.
No, I was just repeating it because it's a sound that I heard. So.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Paul. I'm the finance
Sometimes you
guy.
hear a sound and you just say the sound back. Is that just me? Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. I am the finance guy in your country. So I just want to let you know where the country's doing really well economically. We're making a lot of money. The Dr. Mario tournament is genius. We sold it to Netflix.
Excellent.
And the people are very happy with you. Okay.
That's good to hear.
Now, they're not that creative. You saw them with the comedy classes. They have not improved.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I was very disappointed.
Yeah. They would just like to know, okay, the people really want to build you something to celebrate you. Okay. And I know you're maybe not the sort who really wants that, but it's for them. You know what I mean? They want to do it. They just want an idea from you. Now we have 100 billion in the bank, so we're okay with building anything, and we can go. They want it big and impressive, like a world wonder. Any ideas?
If I was going to commission a monument to myself, I do think what we have to do is we give the moon a moon. So you know how Earth has a moon?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
What we have to do is we carve an asteroid in the shape of a Dr. Mario pill.
Okay.
And we set that baby in orbit around the moon, and then we give the Earth's moon its own moon.
And it's
from
called
the people of Buckaroo.
And it's called either the Glen Moon or the Tickle Moon.
I think that one we can go Tickle Moon.
That's not bad, to be honest, the Tickle Moon.
Because I think that's ridiculous enough that it fits, you know?
Yeah. Well, I would think in that context, if someone said, oh yeah, no, that's the Tickle Moon, then I would think, oh, there must be some professor from Oxford from 1910 who founded the idea of space called
not just some maniac off the coast of New Jersey.
Benjamin Tickle Esquire or something. They're like, oh yeah, I wonder why. But why? Why do you need what's the fascination with the moon?
I just think it's great. It's
cool.
There's a lot of statues.
Yeah.
Of people, and then 50, 100 years down the line, no one knows who that person is.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's just some guy in a park now. But stuff like you mentioned, world wonders, like, the pyramids were built for specific people, and most people don't remember who, but it's still a giant triangle in the desert. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So what we do is we give the moon a moon, and then it's just there all the time. And then people are like, man, I remember before the moon had its own moon. And it's weird that moon is in the shape of a pill from Dr. Mario. But, here we are.
Now that Dr. Mario moon, the Tickle Moon, that's not going to go around in orbit by itself. We're probably going to have to strap like a spaceship on the back of it just to constantly...
Well,
no?
That's the thing is there's smarter people than me.
They'll figure that out. Yeah.
How to do it. Because this is a real thing. I don't know where the mission currently stands, but when I was working as a writer at that website that I was in charge of for a while, due to poor decisions on their part. There was a plan from NASA to study an asteroid. They were going to capture it basically and put it in orbit around the moon so they can just like keep it in one spot kind of.
Okay.
So they can go look at it. And I loved the idea that NASA was going to give the moon a moon.
Yeah.
But in that mission, they do mention, they're like, well, it can't stay there. Like, we can't just keep it forever.
Yeah.
But I think they meant more of like, if you catch a butterfly, you got to let it go, I think one we keep.
So they were thinking of the humane aspect of capturing an asteroid.
I don't know if it was...
It's unfair to the asteroid's
to let
journey.
it go live its life, or if it was just that like the gravity math doesn't work out.
Are you sure you weren't just watching the start of like a Pixar short where like it's the main character is an asteroid?
No, but if you want to pitch for a NASA Pixar movie, there was a mission to do a landing on an asteroid.
Yes.
And it lost contact for a while.
All right.
So it landed. There's like the ship basically, and then the lander separated, went to the asteroid. They lost contact for a while, and then it was like unclear if it was getting back, and they were getting like some signals, but people kept like, NASA was like personifying this lander as like a cute little cartoon thing.
Yeah.
And then when it like got stranded, everyone's like, well, now we feel bad.
Yeah.
It's not a robot in space anymore. It's this cute little guy that you drew. And that, I would watch that movie and it would destroy me emotionally.
Do you know, it's a lot less grand, but when you say about like humanizing something like that, I said to you we have 3 cats, right, as pets.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, maybe months ago, I was walking downstairs with a small little box that I had got a D&D character on. Basically a small little Amazon box, right, with the address and everything on it. And it was, it was ripped open and stuff, but I was going out to the bin with it, and my fiance, there was something in it rattling as I was walking past, and my fiance went, "Oh, he sounds nervous." Just like a throwaway comment. And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Oh, the box sounds nervous." And I was like, "All right." And I thought, well, of course he is. I'm throwing him into the bin. Like, I'd be but then I was like, "Oh, I feel really bad now." Because now I'm after, he does sound nervous. I'm about to kill him. And I have 100 pairs of little googly eyes in a press in the kitchen. And I was like, I'll just put some googly eyes on him. And he's sitting there for the last couple of months on the shelf. Boxy. Love Boxy. Well, I won't let any harm come to that box.
I thought you meant your cat was inside of it, and she thought the cat
was nervous
that you were going to throw the cat out.
Usually when I tell that story, I say I have a new pet, and I say, so I was about to throw my new pet out. And then they're like, "Excuse me?" No, no, you'll understand. Okay, I have I think 3 more questions and then I'm done. Okay.
Sure.
There is your advisors would like to say that they think you should have maybe a photo op, right? You know how you have in Russia, you had Putin sitting on a bear, no top on, he looked very masculine. Yeah. Right. Think of something like that to make you look good. Do you have any ideas what sort of photo op we'd do?
Oh, I think if I could do it, there was a limited number of like standalone Dr. Mario arcade cabinets that were made.
Yeah.
I know a guy who has one of them. I think if I could get one of those and then I would stand on it while juggling lit like replica Dr. Mario pills, like light them on fire and I'm juggling them. I don't think me being shirtless would add anything to how impressive of a photo I think that would be.
You could add more shirts.
I think it would be a 2-shirt minimum.
2-shirt minimum.
And then I'll go full Dr. Mario cosplay. I'll have the lab coat on, the little head mirror.
Do you want us
juggle
to
some flaming Dr. Mario pills on top of a Dr. Mario cabinet?
Do you want us to maybe Photoshop that a bit where you have your Tickle Moon behind you?
Just completely, for sure.
Yeah. Look very nice. Okay, so we'll put that up. Put that out there, front page of everything. It'll be the image for your podcast.
Or
you're not going to damage the cabinet standing on it, no?
We might have to reinforce it. I'm a big guy. The other option, I know you've already said you haven't seen it. The end credits of The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension is the cast of the movie coming out like curtain call style.
Oh yeah.
But they are like strut dancing through the LA River at the Sepulveda Dam, and it's kind of goofy now in 2024. But in 1984, when the movie came out, it was presented as like, this is very cool. And I think recreating that would be fun to do.
And I'm sure that movie is very popular on Buckaroo. So people will know.
Oh, on the island for sure.
Yeah. People
it's a
know.
Holiday. We watch it every year on the anniversary of when it came out. People are off from work. John Lithgow, Jeff Goldblum, and Peter Weller are national heroes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you just get them in to review it.
No, they just fly in for no real reason.
When you're doing your photo op, you said that it's the cast that do that. Are you doing it on your own in your version?
No, I think what we do is we bring back the cast.
Oh, and we get everybody
to recreate it. Some of them have died, so I think I could
get their widows.
I'm trying to think of Jeff Goldblum plays a character whose nickname is New Jersey, and I've long said that if they remake the movie, I should get to play New Jersey.
So we kill Jeff Goldblum.
So no,
okay.
But I think I take his place in the strut walk. I don't think Peter Weller would want to do it, so maybe I just go in there and replace him as Buckaroo, because it seems like Jeff Goldblum would be more game.
Okay, so we'll keep Jeff Goldblum where he is, and you replace
I think
Peter
Jeff
Weller.
Goldblum might show up for this. If you tried to recreate that scene with the surviving cast, I don't think Peter Weller wants to show up. I don't think he wants to do it.
You're not willing to push the boat out for him.
No, I mean we'd put the offer out, but when he turns it down, I don't think we push that hard.
Okay, so we don't really want him.
Well, because then it lets me be Buckaroo.
Yeah. Yeah, you're only.
Peter Weller is famously, like, he'll go to fan events and get mad at people for asking him about RoboCop, even though the whole reason to do a fan event is to ask RoboCop about RoboCop.
Yeah,
and I don't necessarily disagree with him. It would be annoying being asked the same 5 questions about the RoboCop suit for 40 years, but
yeah.
He doesn't seem like a guy who's that into revisiting his past work.
Yeah, once he's done the work, he's done. So you think, well, this kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone, because then you'll be able to play a part in this scene. Yeah. And you'll be able to be Buckaroo for this wade through a river.
Because he's kind of in the middle as everybody's like strut dancing through.
Yes. And then you'll have Jeff Goldblum by your side.
Yeah, you can hang out with Jeff Goldblum. I think Clancy Brown would be there.
This is much better than... Yeah.
It would be, that would probably, I think that instead of the Dr. Mario.
Cool. Okay. I have a knock on the door for you. Knock.
Knock, knock.
Hello there. I get what you're doing. Hi there. It's Paul again. Hi. I just want to let you know the update on the Tickle Moon.
Let's hear it.
I'll just be quick because I have a plane to catch. I'm going on my 28-week holiday to France.
Sure.
That I've saved
as is customary in our land.
28 weeks, nice. 1/3 of the year, and the new moon, Tickle Moon, it's up and running. It's working perfect. It's shaped like a Dr. Mario pill. It's red and blue. It's flying around. It's stuck in the orbit. It should be lasting for decades to come without any worry. So yeah, people are really happy. They're like, geez, we've just done something amazing. People remember the legacy of Buckaroo and Emperor Glen. Now, check the spreadsheet again because it costs a lot of money. It costs 90 billion to do.
It's an expensive endeavor.
Yeah, it also turns out that there was a minus sign in front of the 100 billion. So we're actually now minus 190 billion in debt because we didn't have any money. So yeah, I'm going to go on holiday. I presume because the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, are just emailing asking like, what the hell is going on? Do we have to take over your country? You're broke. So I'll let you deal with that. Paul is going to go on holiday.
Have a great time.
I can't wait. 5-star hotel. Thanks very much, Emperor. Bye.
So is the question now, what do I do?
What do you do? Because Paul, your finance guy, just left you with 190 billion in debt. Message.
Well, I mean, that's nothing compared to the debt held by the country I currently reside in. So
I
I'm
wonder, is it
barely
the
sweating.
scale?
I'm barely sweating 190 million, a billion, doesn't matter.
This is where you might want to think about leaving.
Well, I do think this is where the brilliant part 2 of my plan to give the moon a moon is. We can launch that baby at Earth whenever we want. Like, we can fling that thing out of orbit around the moon and straight at whatever part of the planet we want to take care of. So where's the IMF? Helsinki? You're gone. I will throw an asteroid at you so hard.
But I'm pretty sure, and I've only watched a couple of movies, but when an asteroid hits Earth, they usually don't go, oh my God, Senator, the US asteroid is about to hit Vegas. I guess we move to Europe. Like, I'm pretty sure they're like, we need to.
That's a question of scale. Most things when they enter the Earth's atmosphere just burn up harmlessly. The Dr. Mario pill Tickle Moon was specifically designed and shaped and selected for its ability to be
a weapon
used as a doomsday weapon should anyone cross me.
Fucking hell, I did not expect this twist from, can you please stop bullying me, people? That makes me feel bad. Anyway, I'll be back in 3 days.
That's why.
Disintegrate my enemies.
It's people. I have a silly name and dimples. People underestimate me. I'm petty, and I will hurl an asteroid at Earth if given the chance.
Okay. So you've hurled the Tickle Moon, the most dangerous weapon to ever have been used on this planet, at Helsinki, which we're saying is now where the IMF live.
It's probably not true. We've already established I'm not great at geography.
And I'm more than proud to say this. Fuck Finland. So
I've never been there. Although I do hear there's a pretty thriving English comedy scene. English language comedy scene in Finland. So
Finland is like very high on a lot of very like positive lists.
All right. So maybe we shouldn't nuke it from space with an asteroid, is what you're saying?
It might be too late. So I mean, okay, I do have one last question.
Sure.
Now, I could go in a whole different direction because of the whole sudden, you are the biggest tyrant to ever be on this planet in history. But after that, the people might decide, look, I wasn't on board with that joke. It just has really eaten away at me for ages. And now that he has destroyed Europe and most of Asia,
I do think the threat of the asteroid on its own would be enough to get the balance sheet cleared.
But you just used it and now it's gone. And like
I'm saying we threatened to use it. I'm willing to. I want to be clear.
Sorry. Your people launched it. When you said we launched it, I pressed go. Yeah, no.
It happens.
Yeah.
Well then yeah. I don't know. Then then we got to obviously start shopping around for a second asteroid just in case.
I think your people are going to be like, we might think about getting someone new in. Maybe it's one asteroid per ruler. How about that, lads? We'll do one asteroid. I mean, it's like a wasp. Once you use your sting, you're out of there.
It does seem like that's fair.
I think that's fair.
If I drop an asteroid from space and they're like, all right, you got to pack it in.
Like, yeah, you've kind of done enough. You can't do anything else.
Fair call.
Yeah.
Then I retire.
So the question I have is, though, that they do say to you, listen, you have done a good job. Do you have any ideas on who would be your heir, who would take over? The only thing is you have to pick someone who's actually alive. It can't be a hypothetical person.
I've already mentioned him once. I would turn it over to Chris Bidwell, the organizer of the World Dr. Mario Championship. He does a great job with that event.
Yeah.
So I don't see why he couldn't run a country off the coast of New Jersey.
Do you know him personally?
A bit, not like super well, but
would he launch a asteroid in any European country?
He'd
be the sort.
He doesn't seem the type.
No, he's a more worldly man. Would he ever do a comedy class?
That he might do. I wouldn't rule it out. It doesn't seem like something he aspires to, but he might do it as a lark, you know?
So you'll leave it to him, and you will go back to your home, apparently legally cleared of all crimes.
Well, I think, am I exiled, or do I get to stay?
Oh no, you can stay there if you want. You can stay in your apartment. No. You're well liked in Buckaroo.
I'll stick around.
You might want to stay. You might be in trouble if you go elsewhere.
Yeah, I think if I leave at this point, if I leave the island, there's going to be some complications.
Yeah, that new moon lasted like 3 days before.
Yeah. Right. Once it was in orbit, I was so quick to hurl it back down at her.
What a great achievement to human engineering, and then immediately
We've done it.
a Finland-shaped hole in the earth.
Threw it at Finland. Oh no.
Glen Tickle, where do people find you online?
I'm just at Glen Tickle on whatever social media I'm still on.
Are you touring at the minute, or are you doing it in?
I will be around. Yeah, I do a lot. The problem is I do a lot of like private corporate gigs that aren't worth promoting, because like I'll be like, oh, I'm going to be in Kansas City, and people are like, oh, when can I come see you? Unless you change professions, not this trip.
Unless you're willing to commit to a new career. Yeah. Okay, cool. So did you say you're on Instagram and Threads, right?
I'm on Instagram and Threads. Yeah. I bailed on Twitter when Elon took over.
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok, but don't use it that much anymore. But I'm around. Good. It's an uncommon name. I'm pretty easy to find online.
Yes. Thanks for doing the podcast, and thanks everyone for listening. Just before I go, when you go back into your little apartment and away from the political life, any last words you shout over to your wife across the pond, or any of the people, last words of advice that you'd give them before they go ruling themselves?
I think we have to go with no matter where you go, there you are.
Okay.
It's a quote from Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh, is it? No matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah.
I don't get that. What's that mean?
It's a I believe slightly erroneously translated quote from some Eastern philosopher.
I hadn't a clue.
So Buckaroo is half Japanese and half American, so he's got like an interest in Japanese philosophy.
Oh, like Steven Seagal.
It comes from there. Yes, like
so.
Like
I get it.
Seagal.
I'll have to watch it. Okay. Bye everyone.